Hello and welcome to Life in Spain Unfiltered. Right, before I get cracking today, I thought I would give you a quick weather update because down here in the south of Spain, it's been very similar to the north of Europe and we're having very unusual temperatures for this time of year. Of course, it gets hot down here, hence the name the Costa del Sol, includes in the title. But to have the temperatures we've had recently, which has been over 30 in the day, is a bit unusual because that's like a little dress rehearsal for July and August. So not only has it been hot, you'd say it's been hot, hot, hot. Now, the schools have yet to break up, so obviously it's making it difficult for kids to study. There's lots of stories of air conditioning units not working in classrooms, which must be ghastly for those kids. But it's also very hard here to sleep at night for those who don't have any sort of ceiling fan or air conditioning unit. So if you are coming to Spain this summer, just bear that in mind. I think it's going to be a hot one. They keep saying every year that records are broken, but this year I wouldn't be surprised if they are broken again because we already had our standard Spanish news report on the news here when they show the temperature gauges in Seville and Cordova on the thermometers on the outside of pharmacies, and we've already had our first 50 degrees reported in the sun from Seville. That was last weekend. So if that's happening in the beginning of June, I dread to think how that's going to be in the middle of August. Right, my real reason to talk to you today is about the changes in the smoking laws in Spain. Because surprisingly to me, it was announced last week that just down the road from me in a place called Benalmádena, there is one of the main beaches there is going to be a non-smoking beach, which for this part of the world is a bit of a revelation. I believe there are now up to 19 to 20 non-smoking beaches in Andalusia, which is by far not enough. But I was quite surprised that. Now, smoking here is still an issue. Even though people are smoking less, I would say it's still 1 in 4 adults smoke here. And I've been looking at some of the figures online, and even though it's lower than places like France and Greece, that's still a lot of people smoking. Now, the main problem with the smoking here is the price of the tobacco. Now, of course, people in Spain do earn less money than some of their northern European cousins, but when the price of tobacco is between $4.50 and $5.50 a packet in average, it does show you there is a problem with that. And I think if the price went up, it would deter people from smoking. I remember when I owned my bar and tobacco went over €4 for the first time. A lot of people were complaining. And it's eventually creeped up to over 5 now. For a pack of Marlboro, you're probably paying close to $5.50. Now, apart from the beaches having this non-smoking beaches coming into play, which once again we'll see how that works with the policing of that, which will be very difficult when the Spanish or local tourism arrives in the summer months, because people once again like to smoke, as everyone will know who's been to a Spanish beach in the middle of the summer. There are proposed changes to restaurants and bars. Now, at the moment, depending on the layout of the bar, if they have these kind of hoardings on the side, if they're up, or there's or it's open terrace, people are allowed to smoke. And if as you probably people well know themselves, if you're sat next to a table and you don't smoke and people are smoking, it does tend to bother you somewhat. What they're proposing now is to have no smoking in these public areas. So it'd be a blanket ban on terraces and bars completely. Bars, restaurants, anything. So there'd be no zone. Already there is talk of this coming in soon. But once again, it will contain grey areas. Because as someone pointed out to me the other day, when we were sat down discussing it in a bar, that we were sat on this terrace and the person goes, well, if I want to smoke, I just stand up and take one step to my left. I'm technically on the pavement. So what's the difference between smoking here and smoking sat where you are? It's still people smoking in a public place. How this law is to come into practice, we still have to wait to see, because we're waiting for the actual wording of the documents. But I would hope that would come in, because I think it would help a lot with health here. Because a lot of people smoke, and unfortunately, a lot of young girls smoke. From what I've noticed around town and talking to my young daughters, a lot of their friends do smoke already, be it these ghastly disposable vapes, which, like the UK, are on the verge of being banned. But some of them do smoke tobacco. There is education in schools, and doctors are going into schools and talking to kids about the dangers of smoking, which is a good thing, which shows an advancement. I have a friend who's a Spanish doctor, and he's telling me that he believes the figures are dropping, which I'm pretty sure they are. Less people are smoking. But it's still an issue here. On the same, connected to that, we've recently had news of the border issue between Gibraltar and Spain being solved. Now, it seems that the Gibraltar border now has been turned over to the EU, and it's going to be an open border. Now, one of the problems related to tobacco is that down where we live here, there's a lot of tobacco comes in from Gibraltar. Many of you will know it's a lot cheaper to buy tobacco and alcohol in Gibraltar than it is on mainland Spain, which is already a lot cheaper than the UK, mainly because of the tax structure here on those various products. Now, I think tobacco, if I'm not mistaken, is 20% cheaper in Gibraltar. And with between 10 and 12,000 workers crossing that border every day, they, I believe, are allowed to take back 1 carton each a day. That's obviously a lot of tobacco coming into Spain. Now, to illustrate how much of a problem that is, I remember a couple of years ago I was helping someone set up a bar, and I went down there to give them some advice, and I said to them, you should get a tobacco machine. People will come in, buy tobacco, you'll have a conversation with them, they will probably stop for a coffee, maybe a beer, and you'll start gaining customers that way. He turned to me and said, well, there's no point, because we have a Gibraltar tobacco shop on this in this neighbourhood, which kind of shocked me. Gibraltar tobacco shop? I said, what the earth's that? He goes, no, there's a guy who has a little locale around the corner, and we go knock on the door and we can buy our tobacco from him. It's a lot cheaper because it's all come from Gibraltar. Now, one of the complaints down here is people love to moan about Gibraltar and the tobacco coming illegally across the border, but they don't mind when they're consuming it. So it is a little bit hypocritical. Obviously not in all cases, but from that side, yes. As for the border itself, I believe it will be policed, because they're obviously going to have to stop this tobacco coming in to Spain. Maybe one of the proposals to do is increase the tax. The EU will make Gibraltar increase the tax on alcohol and cigarettes. I think it may be around 3%, but I may be mistaken with that. And bring it in line with the rest of Europe, so tobacco and alcohol aren't so cheap and aren't shipped across the border to be sold on the black market. That's one thing. When I say it's going to be an open border in Gibraltar, it doesn't mean that you're going to fly into the airport and just walk straight into Spain. There will be border controls at both the port and the airport themselves. So there will be some sort of control. As for Gibraltar itself, there's always that debate about should it be Spanish, or should it be British? That will continue, I imagine, for all our lifetimes, and probably will never be resolved. But at least now they've solved this border issue, which will hopefully at least make relations a little bit more friendly. Right, that's about it. It's getting hot already as it approaches midday here, so I'm going to go and have a quick dip in the pool. I bid you all farewell and have yourselves a lovely day.